They say the city never sleeps, but beneath the surface and something dreams, and what dreams down here doesn't wake. It hungers. You've heard the whispers of real werewolf sightings, of those who vanish near derelict stations, of camera crews that never return. But what if I told you the truth is worse? That beneath New York's broken bones lies a forgotten platform sealed off in 1974, Platform 7 they called it, not condemned but quarantined. No official records, no blueprints past that year, just rusted tracks swallowed by time, and what walks them. When Samantha Greaves, a journalist obsessed with exposing underground werewolf stories, went looking for answers, she brought with her three things: a camera, a flashlight, and a name scratched into concrete walls. We remain. She found more than she bargained for. She found them. A subway werewolf cult, worshipping something older than the tunnels themselves. A creature once human, now something else entirely. An alpha, no longer bound by name or memory, only instinct. And when she looked into his eyes, she didn't scream, she stayed. So, before we descend, listen closely, because stories like this, they change you. You'll hear the flicker of fluorescent lights, the scrape of claw against steel, and maybe, just maybe, you'll start to understand why some tunnels should stay sealed. And if you want to follow every step of this descent into madness, I urge you, stay close to the light. Like this story, share it with the others, subscribe and ring the bell, because once we go below, you won't want to be left behind. This is her footage, her final story. Welcome to the pack below. Platform 7, October 14th, 1974. Platform 7, Lower Manhattan's then newest subway expansion, vanished, not slowly, not over time, in a single bone-snapping breath. The story buried in newsprint spoke of faulty design, of cracked supports, and a botched inspection, but the construction crew's final emergency transmission told a different tale. One not printed, one whispered, something moved in the wall, and then, static. By the time emergency responders forced their way in, Platform 7 had swallowed, itself whole, twisted steel, shattered concrete, and 14 men entombed in silence. There were no bodies, only deep claw marks in the support beams, and a trail of blood leading into an unfinished tunnel, one never listed on the blueprints. The MTA sealed the entire lower quadrant within hours. Officially, a write-off; unofficially, a cover-up. The footage never made it to the public, but it did find its way into the dusty, flood-damaged basement archives of a certain independent journalist. Samantha Greaves wasn't your average clickbait hunter. She didn't chase headlines. She exhumed them. Urban decay was her altar. Ghost stations, sewer systems, graveyards paved over and forgotten. But Platform 7, it whispered to her. A missing platform. No press access. No permits. No survivors. And worst of all, no noise. That's what got her. Not the silence, no, the absence of echoes. Like something had swallowed even the sound. She found the blueprint by accident, or maybe it found her. A rolled-up cylinder stuffed in a mislabeled archival drawer. Red ink slashed through the page. Severed, do not access. But beneath that, in nearly faded pencil, we remain. That was the first time she heard the phrase. It wouldn't be the last. She watched the construction crew's last tape on a rusted reel-to-reel. The grainy image showed a flashlight beam bouncing down the tunnel, voices cracking with static. Something's moving. No, watch out behind. Then, a howl, not mechanical, not wind, and the footage disintegrated into snow. Most people would have stopped there. Samantha? She booked a motel 2 blocks from the original entry shaft. She charged her camera, packed thermal gear, a half-dozen spare batteries, and a flashlight she'd named Hope. And before sunrise, she was gone. No crew, no backup, just her and the tunnel. People always say, there's nothing down there, but they never ask what's waiting for us to come back. Next time we'll follow her footsteps into the dark. They said the service tunnels were sealed, that the cement was poured thick enough to bury a secret for centuries. They were wrong. Samantha found a breach in the old Lower East Side utility corridor, a broken vent shaft behind a rusted boiler panel, held in place by little more than dust and guilt. The stench hit first. rotting metal. Something animal, something wet. She crawled through in silence. Only the sound of her breath and the slow, metallic squeal of her pack dragging behind. Her at the bottom, a drop 10 feet, maybe 12. She fell hard, shoulder first. Her GoPro clattered onto the platform. That was the first glitch in the footage. Not static, not distortion. A frame, half a second of glowing amber eyes. She stood slowly, brushing off her coat. Platform 7. The signs were still there. Faded, cracked, but legible. The air was thick, not just damp, heavy, pressing, like something wanted her to leave. She turned her light left. Old ticket booths, crumbled benches, a subway map half-eaten by mold. To the right, graffiti scratched into the tiles, not spray paint, not art, claw marks, and below them letters carved deep. "We remain." She aimed the camera at them, whispered under her breath. "What are you?" Behind her, a soft scrape of claws on concrete. Spun flashlight beam slicing through fog. Nothing, just an old tunnel collapsed at the far end. She spoke into the mic, her voice steady, rehearsed. Day 1, Samantha Greaves, confirming access to Platform 7. Signs of prior human presence, and something else. Still investigating. Still investigating. But even then she knew she wasn't alone. She pressed forward. The further she walked, the more the station seemed to breathe. Pipes, hissing steam, water dripping in unnatural patterns, and shadows that didn't match her movements. On her left, a row of shattered lights flickered. One burst. Glass scattered, like something had passed just beneath it. She found a maintenance door, wedged half open with a brick. Inside, a mattress covered in fur. Bones arranged in a crescent. Claw marks on the ceiling. And worse, an old Polaroid nailed to the wall. A man's face, mouth open, eyes wide. Below it, he joined. She recorded everything, every corner, every creak, but her voice began to fray. Her GoPro log stuttered. Day, maybe 2. No signal, no sun. I slept. I think I heard someone breathing next to me. I dreamt I ran on all fours. My name is Samantha Greaves. If you find this, don't follow unless you feel it too. She pressed on, drawn forward not by answers but by something older, something calling and something watching. She followed the tunnel until her flashlight began to dim, not from battery drain but from something in the air, like the darkness was swallowing light. The floor was soft beneath her boots. She looked down, fur, tufts of matted fur covering, the tiles thick as leaves in autumn, and beneath them, scratches in the stone, circular, rhythmic, almost ceremonial. Then the sound, not footsteps, pacing. A slow, deliberate scrape of claws just ahead in the dark. She raised her camera. Her voice trembled. I see something. Tall, hunched, watching me, but it's not attacking. It stood there, 7 feet, maybe more, covered in blackened fur, eyes glowing. Not yellow, not red. Amber. Ancient, still. And it never moved, not a muscle. It just watched her, as if it already knew. She whispered, "What are you waiting for?" And for the first time, it blinked. She fell back, breathing hard. Her hand grazed a bundle wrapped in cloth. She peeled it open. Inside, bones ranged in a ring, teeth embedded into the mortar. A den, a shrine. His shrine. Her mic picked up her voice, barely above a breath. He's not just Alpha. He's priest. Judge God. She spoke again, this time into the tunnel behind her, almost as if to us, to anyone listening beyond the veil. If someone's watching this, if anyone hears me, she stared directly into the lens, whispering, "Leave." A sign, a mark, something. So I'll know I wasn't alone down here. If you followed me this far, like, share, comment, leave something behind before it's too late. The camera cuts, a burst of static, and when it returns, her voice is different, calmer, slower, almost reverent. I saw myself last night in a reflection, but it wasn't me, not really. She ran on all fours. Her eyes glowed, and she was smiling. Time began to fold. Her phone claimed it was noon, but the last time she saw the sun, was days ago. She found a rusted screen, old security feed monitors still sparking. She tapped one. The footage rolled. Old, grainy, playback from 1974, she muttered. Must be a loop. But then she froze. On screen, in frame, her face older, wilder, running barefoot through the platform, chasing something or someone. She reached out to touch the screen, and behind her, a shadow moved. She didn't run, didn't scream. She whispered, "Take me there." And the shadow led her, deeper, to him. He waited for her at the end of the tunnel where the concrete bled into cavern and steel rails sank beneath bone. He stood, the alpha, not hunched like the others, not lurking in shadow. He was still, towering, cloaked in fur darker than night and a silence so thick it bent sound around him. Behind him, an altar made of rusted signage and skulls, teeth laid in precise patterns, a spine arranged like a crown. Not primitive, not savage, deliberate, ancient, ritual. Samantha raised her camera, but her hands were shaking. She spoke aloud, more to herself than to him. "You were once a man, weren't you?" The alpha tilted his head, slowly, and stepped forward. Samantha didn't move. Not when his claws scraped sparks across the floor, not when his breath fogged the lens, not even when he reached out and crushed the camera in one massive, scarred hand. She gasped, but didn't back away. She knelt, and for the first time since arriving on Platform 7, she smiled. "You don't speak," she whispered. "You show." He lowered his head, not in aggression, in acknowledgement. Behind him, the pack began to emerge, silent, watching. None approached. This was her trial. Hers, alone. The air around her pulsed. Samantha clutched her chest, heat, bones aching, skin crawling. She screamed, but it wasn't pain, it was something older. Like a second voice buried inside her had finally been given breath. Her fingernails split, her teeth ached, and when she blinked, her eyes reflected light. She fell forward, gasping, trembling. A voice, her own, echoed in her mind. "You're not losing yourself. You're remembering what you were." She crawled away from the altar, reaching for her broken camera, but a hand caught her wrist, not claws, not fur, a hand, human, shaking. A man, half-starved, ragged, wrapped in subway, worker gear. His eyes were wide with horror. "You can't stay," he whispered. "They'll take you, twist you, make you forget." Samantha looked up, eyes now glowing faintly gold. "What if I want to forget?" she said. The man tried to pull her. The alpha stepped forward. In an instant, the man was airborne, slammed into a steel beam. He didn't scream, just dropped. Samantha turned back. No panic, just acceptance. She looked at her hands. One was no longer hers. She stood, taller now, eyes forward. The alpha nodded and the pack stepped aside to let her pass among them. Somewhere in the silence of those tunnels, Samantha Greaves ceased to be, not in death but in becoming. Her camera, cracked, lens fractured, captured fragments in its dying breath. A shaky frame, low to the ground, dust swirling in the air like ash. We see her, shoulders heaving, fingers clawed and raw, back arching in agony and rapture alike. The alpha stands before her, unblinking, as if watching a storm finally form. She lets out a sound, not a scream, a howl, but laced with laughter. Her body contorts, limbs stretching, eyes glowing, spine erupting with tension. The shadows cling to her like old skin falling away. She looks up right into the lens, and she smiles, mouth filled with too many teeth. The camera tumbles, hits the ground. The view tilts sideways, half focused on the den, the altar, her bare feet shifting shape. And then stillness, a single voice, hers, no. Longer human speaks, I get it now. A claw reaches down, not to destroy, to place the camera, like an offering, and the footage ends. Decades later, during a forgotten maintenance check near the 2nd Avenue line, workers stumbled upon a sealed corridor behind a rusted grate. Inside, one camera, dust-caked, battery long dead. They played the footage back. It burned out one monitor, another kept playing. Authorities claimed it was faked, a viral stunt, AI-generated hoax, but one tech refused to go back into that tunnel. He said he saw her watching still. Thank you for surviving the descent into the pack below Platform 7. But what you've witnessed tonight doesn't sleep. It waits. This was more than a subway werewolf cult or an underground horror story. It was a warning about what happens when we dig too deep, when we chase monsters and find family. And if you've made it this far, like Samantha, you're part of the pack now. For more real werewolf sightings, found footage horror, and tales that haunt cities long after dark, click our Werewolf horror playlist linked below. Because down here, beneath the concrete and light, the hunt never ends. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and don't forget to ring the bell, because the next time something moves in the dark, you'll want to see it coming. Welcome to the darkness.